Welcome to the Foundry by Forge College. I am absolutely thrilled to guide you through today's explainer. Now, if you've been following along, you know this is a massive milestone in our Capstone designing a Web2 Solana hybrid application module, which wraps up the broader Web2 integration and API development track. In our previous explainer on Capstone assembly and presentation, you gathered all your raw materials. You collected your scope, your non-functional requirements, your service-level agreements, and your initial API drafts. But honestly, right now, you just have a really impressive pile of digital lumber, and unless you're trying to build a digital campfire, we need to get to work. Today, it is time to draft your master blueprint and lock in the final architectural plan for your hybrid application.
So here is the million-dollar question. You have the materials, but how do you keep your API developers from building the wrong house? A pile of bricks isn't a house until you synthesize all those isolated diagrams and SLAs into a formal, actionable document. If you just hand your engineering team a folder full of sticky notes and rough ideas, I guarantee they'll build a beautiful Web2 application that completely misinterprets the Solana blockchain logic. We need a single, rock-solid source of truth. Let's quickly sketch out today's drafting index to see exactly how we turn those notes into a delivery-ready architecture plan. We'll be moving through drafting the master blueprint, architecture and API contracts, mapping requirements to code, deployment and handoff notes, and finally blueprint validation and sign-off. Starting right off with Section 1, drafting the master blueprint. This is all about laying that crucial foundation.
Your blueprint absolutely must open with an executive summary and a clear, high-level architecture diagram. But listen, not just any diagram. It needs to explicitly label component ownership. And, most importantly, the exact boundary where your Solana logic meets your Web2 services. You have to draw a hard line in the sand, or, on the paper, showing exactly which data is owned by the blockchain and which data is owned by your traditional databases. There can't be any guessing here.
Moving right along to Section 2, Architecture and API Contracts. It's time to design the wiring.
Let's talk about the integration contract. This is essentially the finalized OpenAPI fragments, specifying how your Web2 services actually call Solana functionality and reconcile cross-boundary state. You can think of an integration contract like a highly skilled translator at a totally chaotic United Nations summit. Your Web2 services speak one language, they expect immediate, synchronous, RESTful responses. Solana speaks a completely different language because it's a decentralized network. The integration contract ensures the app and the blockchain perfectly understand each other without any catastrophic miscommunications.
Every single API that touches hybrid logic needs three distinct elements documented. 1. Define request and response schemas, so the data shape is 100% predictable. 2. Outline error cases, because let's face it, things will go wrong like upstream RPC errors. And 3. Specify reconciliation behavior. That last one, it is absolutely huge. Web2 developers are used to instant gratification. They aren't always used to eventual consistency. So your contract needs to clearly explain how to handle a situation where a transaction is submitted to Solana, but it's just kind of floating around waiting to be finalized.
Now, you can't just write theory. You have to include an implementation appendix with concrete code snippets. This means providing a minimal Express-style endpoint, a Node.js setup using fetch, mocked RPC proxy calls, and a clear mapping of on-chain state directly to your API schema. You want to hand your API team a runnable Web2 adapter that actually fetches and maps on-chain state. Show them exactly how to parse that on-chain data and attach metadata so they literally see that it's working.
Okay, Section 3, Mapping Requirements to Code. We have to make sure nothing got lost in the shuffle.
The traceability matrix. This thing is practically a magic spreadsheet. It acts as the ultimate quality assurance checklist. Notice how the columns flow logically. Requirement, design element, test case, and owner. For example, if your strict requirement is 99.9% availability, you can see it points directly to the account adapter API design element, which is validated by a staging load test and is owned by the API team. Every single requirement from your earlier phases must map to a specific endpoint or component and tied to a testable step. It leaves absolutely zero room for ambiguity.
Moving to Section 4, Deployment and Handoff Notes. It's time to write the manual for the construction crew.
I always say that handing an implementation team a blueprint without deployment notes is basically like asking them to assemble IKEA furniture in the dark. It's bound to end in tears and a bunch of leftover screws. You must clearly separate what you provide versus what they execute. The architecture team provides the environment variables, CI triggers, versioning strategy, and rollback criteria. In turn, the API implementation team executes the automated staging deployment, grinds through the QA checklists, and handles manual production promotion.
By the way, if you love dissecting system responsibilities like this, Forge College has some truly fantastic courses that delve even deeper into DevOps and Web3 release cycles. It's really all about making sure everyone knows their exact role.
Finally, Section 5, Blueprint Validation and Sign-Off, the final inspection before we break ground.
Before handoff, you will validate your blueprint using a very strict final checklist. This ensures your OpenAPI fragments lint correctly without any annoying unresolved reference errors. It ensures your traceability matrix is actually audited, meaning at least 90% of your requirements are demonstrably mapped. And it ensures your QA engineers can run your staging tests locally using your mocked RPC servers. Listen, if your appendix execution fails because a script is broken, you do not pass the checkpoint. Just fix it before you hand it off.
So, I really want you to look at your blueprint and ask yourself this critical question. Is your blueprint ready for the real world? Is this document truly self-contained enough that an API team can begin coding immediately, today, without needing a 3-hour clarification call with you? Because if you need a giant meeting just to explain your document, well, your document isn't finished. Make absolutely sure your examples are concrete and your data ownership notes are crystal clear.
I want to leave you with this core thought. Traceability is the backbone of a credible blueprint. Ultimately, this document you've worked so hard on isn't some academic encyclopedia that's just going to gather dust on a digital shelf. It is a living, breathing spec. It makes your design auditable, measurable, and completely ready for action in the very next sprint.
As you prepare to transition this master plan into concrete development, ask yourself this: what actually happens when your perfectly designed blueprint meets the unpredictable chaos of a live mainnet? We're going to tackle exactly that in our next explainer when we explore what RESTful APIs mean for Solana. Thank you so much for joining me today. Remember to head over to forge.college to check out our other programs and continue mastering the Web3 landscape. Keep building, keep learning, and I will see you in the next one.